All right, so I switched to Linux, and this isn't like a preachy video or anything like that at all. It's more just if you're in the position that I was and just think, oh, maybe I can give it a try. Basically, I just got sick of Windows. I just got sick to death of it. I've used Windows, I know it inside out. I use it for my job all the time, and I generally really like it. Over the last 6-8 months, maybe, I've got constant Windows updates that almost brick the system. I've had to do many system restores. I've had things forced on me from Microsoft that I didn't want, didn't need. The latest being the recall thing, which, despite opting out, then turned into a no, this is a automatic opt-in, and you have to fanny about and mess around. I found myself then reinstalling like tiny versions of the ISO to try and get rid of some of the rubbish. Then I had issues where there was so many resources going on in the background that it just meant that my machine was struggling to record, to stream, all sorts. Like even some of the games were just not running the way they should. And yes, I do run a laptop, but it's a 4090 laptop. It's like almost the best laptop you can possibly get. It's ridiculous. There's nothing that should be struggling with it. Maybe sometimes, maybe if something's really extreme, but none of the things that I do, and things were really starting to struggle. So what this video is like I say, not a preachy, use your Switch. It's just if you're considering it, like I was, then well, I'll just show you some of the things that are the good points and the bad points. I've now been on Linux for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I'll be honest, I've not even booted back to my Windows partition. I do have a little Windows VM, which I'll talk about later on, but yeah, I've not booted back in, so I've still got a little partition with Windows on just in case, but I've not even used it. So let me give you a quick run over of what Linux I chose, what I'm like with Linux, and yeah, let's go from there. So this is my desktop, as you've seen, and this is the about screen for the version of Linux I chose. I'm using something called Bazzite, and well, let's click on let's open up the URL and we'll have a look and see. You're gonna probably see one of my first annoyances. You saw it there with Linux, or maybe not with Linux, but with this version of Linux, or my install of Linux, or whatever it is. And it is with Firefox, actually. This is the first negative, is that Firefox, sometimes I have to open it like 4 or 5 times before it actually does. Now, the fun part about it, though, is when I get annoyed, you know, some people click, I shake my mouse. Watch this. Watch my mouse. This is just a fun thing. Look at it. It's giant. It gets giant. Anyway, but it does shrink. So, what is Bazzite? Bazzite is well, it says there, it's a Linux designed for newcomers and enthusiasts, blah, 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 blah. The reason I picked it is because Marshall has a Steam Deck. I always say Stream Deck because that's what I use. A Steam Deck, and that's got Linux on it and SteamOS and everything. And this looked like it was going to be pretty similar to that. Now, it doesn't have the full game mode like the Steam Deck does with the NVIDIA side, which is what I've got. But I'm quite happy with that because I want it to still be more like a desktop. So I think you can turn it on and off if you've got an AMD card. But with an NVIDIA card, you don't get that anyway. And it's also something called an immutable distro. I'm going to butcher this. And again, if you're in the comments and you're thinking, he doesn't know what he's talking about, you're probably right. Because I haven't used Linux since, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago with a Ubuntu install where I was just playing around. Other than that, I use it at work every so often, like years ago on an old Red Hat server to run a few basic commands, and that's it. So my Linux knowledge is not a lot. It is not a lot at all. But you can see here as well the specs that I was talking about before. So I've got this, a 7945HX Ryzen 9 and a GTX 4090 with 32 gigs of RAM. I'm not sure why it only shows 30.5. But in any case, that's what the system is. And like I said, I'm using this version of Bazzite. And yes, so I was saying it's an immutable distro. What that seems to mean is you can't go and like hacky everything and completely murder the system like you can with some of the other versions of Linux where you can just open up the console and do stuff. In fact, I don't really use the console that much. I've only had to use it when I've had an issue with something and someone said, if you go into the console, type this and it'll fix this and that. And that's been so few and far in between. It's mostly when I've been trying to install something that probably just shouldn't run on Linux, but it does, so you can sort of hack about. So yeah, so that is the version that I'm on. And yeah, Bazzite 41, there might be more versions out, I'm not sure, but this is the one that I've got, and it works great. I absolutely love it. So I have 3 screens. Right now you're looking at my main desktop. Just to go over some of the bits that are on here, you can see most of the games that I play are up here at the top. These all run absolutely perfect, and we'll show some of them off in a bit anyway. Some of these I don't really play all the time. They're mostly things that I play with Marshall. PS Remote Play isn't the official app. It's one called Chiaki, but again, I'll show you that in a bit. It works really, really well. And this one here is sober's actually Roblox. It's a version of Roblox that runs the Android client on Linux because it doesn't actually work. The other negative is if you're someone who plays Fortnite or what's the Jelly Bean game I used to play? Fall Guys. They don't work because of this easy anti-cheat thing nonsense. So they don't work. You can only play them through cloud services. I don't play it very often, but you know, if you've watched my YouTube, occasionally you'll see me playing it with Marshall. But it's fine. I play it on my PlayStation anyway, so I can just switch to that whenever I want to. But yeah, so there's a decent chunk of games there. There's tons. I mean, if you let's open my Steam library, why not? If you look at my Steam library here, there's so many games, and these all, I don't know, all might not be the right words to say, but these will all run at least, and they run really well. I've not tested all of them, but I've tested a big chunk, and they were all great, to be honest. So even some of the things that don't run particularly well on Windows, for me right now, with the way my system has been, they work fine. Some of the applications that I use as well, Resolve works perfectly. It's just like being on Windows. Even the Mr. Alex Tech stuff, where he sort of says that they may work, but it doesn't. They actually work. They work really, really well. Cure of my 3D printing all works fine. VS Code, for the bit of work that I do on here, works fine. Affinity, there's a horrible, long-winded process about installing this. It sort of works. I'm not going to show it. The reason I'm not going to show it is because it flashes black when you do something, so I wouldn't recommend it. If you've got any sort of photosensitivity issues, do not do it. But I've been using Critter as an alternative to what I used for Affinity before, and it's been alright because I only really do thumbnails for YouTube, so and it works good. These all work fine. Game Maker works fine. These are things I've been learning and playing with, so I'm not going to show you about because I'm no expert on them, but they have all been doing their jobs completely fine. So, big things out of the way. When I was doing this, the immediate thing was nothing will work. You will hate it. Everything's long-winded, and none of your games will work either. Right, that's rubbish. It's complete and utter rubbish. It may have been that way years ago. It absolutely isn't the way now. Now, not to say that everything works the same. My big things are the Elgato stuff that I've got. So I've got the Facecam Pro, which I'm using right now. You can see it works perfectly fine. I also have Stream Decks, and my microphone is a Beacn mic. All of those do not run in Linux. They absolutely do not run. But on the Stream Decks, there is a little thing called Stream Controller. So this is being worked on by a small team, and it works really, really well. It hasn't got all the same plugins in, but it does let me change scenes. I can do clips from Twitch. I can mute my mic. I can definitely. These are done on hotkeys right now. There is a Discord plugin for it. I can't get it to work. That doesn't mean it doesn't work. It might just mean that I'm an idiot, or because I'm new to Linux. So there's some things that do and don't work. And my Stream Deck Plus, these work as well. So these are the dials, and I can turn that. They're the volume controls inside OBS, so I can do that. So I can still do a little bit of like the mixing stuff as well. The other thing, and I've just realised that my mic's a bit far away. I hope that's recorded all right, but I'm going to carry on. The other thing is that I use a Focusrite Scarlett, and that's how I plug my guitar in, and it's to use my headphones and everything else. That is plug and play. I didn't have to do anything with it. And also, the split of the signals, which is a bit of a faff. You have to use, I can't remember what the software is called now, the VB audio cable stuff. You have to use that to split it on Windows. In Linux, it's already split. Like the guitar is completely separate. The XLR mic is completely separate if you want to use that. Now, I mentioned mic because I actually do use a Beacn mic, which is USB, and it doesn't work on Linux from the software point of view. But the great thing about the Beacn mic is you set it up, and then it saves everything to the microphone, and then all the settings are the same. So the settings you're hearing now are set on Windows, and then did that. Now, I'm not going to load it up right now, but I do have, well, I can load up this bit. I load up a virtual machine, and I've got a little Windows 11 virtual machine here. Inside that, I've got the Stream Deck software, I've got the Beacn software, I've got the Logitech software as well for my keyboard and mouse. I only use them to go on there and update the firmware on these devices if I want to. The reason I'm not going to go in and show you is because you have to basically link them into the VM, and it'll make my mic turn off. So, because my mic will then be inside the VM and it'll be stuck. But basically, it's a little VM, which is a virtual machine, which opens up Windows, and I can open up those apps, and they work perfectly fine inside that virtual machine. I can then close it, come back, and that's it. So that is were the main worries. So the other thing is RGB. Like anybody who's got RGB. So my laptop's got RGB. I'll show a picture of it now. My keyboard's got RGB, my mouse got RGB, and that's all controlled by this piece of software called OpenRGB. And essentially, like I just use, you just pick these. So I usually use the rainbow, and you can just set all these on. And once they're done, they're done. I won't save it right now because they're already set up. And that's it. Whenever you turn on, it automatically applies to profiles, and I've got all my rainbow RGB back exactly how I had it when I first started. OBS. This is the other one. Everyone's like, OBS doesn't work. It's a pain. It's really, really resource heavy. It does this, that, and the other. I know we've got like a window inside a window inside a window, but I'm using OBS to record this video right now, and everything is completely fine. Well, basically, you don't get to pick the game you capture. You just say capture a game, and then you have to go and show it. You have to go and change your setting. In fact, let's do that now. Okay, so back to the desktop, and yeah, so if I'm capturing, and I want to capture that into OBS, and this is all documented, by the way. It isn't something I had to like go and spend hours searching for. It's all documented, but you basically put some of these launch options into games. So this is a Steam game, so it's Satisfactory, which I am madly in love with, and I have been for too long and spent too much time on it. Anyway, if you add this NOB, I don't remember it. I copy and paste it basically from Satisfactory because I know it's there because I've done it. But yeah, so basically put this in, and then OBS will capture it using the game capture, option that is in there. Which if you install it through Bazzite, at the starting screen, it offers you to install OBS with a load of extra plugins, and that's it. Talking of plugins, I know I'm going back and forwards, and that is the way I waffle. Yes, people will say you can't install plugins on FlatPak. Yes, you can. And again, if you go through the documentation, it tells you exactly where to paste them on your disk. Unbelievably, I literally just had a power cut while I was recording. I didn't crash. I literally had a power cut. Unbelievable. Anyway, got everything back up again. Unbelievable. So yes, this command, this is what you would put in on Steam. Any game, you right-click the properties of the game, come into General, come into Launch Options, and then this command goes in there. Like I say, it's all in the documentation. It's not something you have to go and madly search around for. It's all on their Git repo documentation. So yeah, this is the way you capture it, and it will just capture on the OBS game capture as long as you've got the VK capture. I think it's called Vulkan capture installed. And I mentioned FlatPak a minute ago. I realise that not everyone's going to know what FlatPak is. I didn't have a clue either. FlatPak is basically like a store. It's like the Microsoft Store, but not rubbish. And it's where you can install things and update things, as you can see here. Let's give these an update. And it's literally one-click update stuff, and then they're done. So there's none of this, going into consoles and everything else, turning into Neo every time you need to do anything. None of that. You just do, and you can install lots from here. This thing you can install outside it as well, but yeah, you can install lots from here. So OBS, for example, I'm in the wrong section. OBS. Let's just bring OBS up so you can see what I was talking about before. So if I was to install this, I've already got it installed, so it's not going to show. But you literally would just one click here, and then that's it installed. And add-ons is where some of the plugins are. So if some of the plugin authors have updated them to FlatPak, you can just go in here and press download, and it'll automatically install them, and they'll be available in your OBS. So yeah, there's absolutely tons of them in here. Most of them, like I say, all the good ones come pre-installed when you install the version that I'm using anyway. The one with Bazzite comes pre-installed with them. So, but yeah, that's what FlatPak is. It's basically a repo, a repository. I need to not talk like I'm talking at work. A repository for applications, and this Discover store allows you to link to that and just point and click and install stuff. It's absolutely brilliant. Back to the actual point. So we were talking about OBS capture. I do waffle and I do bounce around. I know it's not always the most helpful, but it's who I am. It's who I am. So yeah, that's for a Steam game. It is slightly different for some of the other things. Most things I play now are through Steam, so that would generally be the way. But there is I play Minecraft, and I play Minecraft through this thing called Prism launcher. I've done it. I don't just do it because now on Linux. I've always done it. If you can launch Minecraft, up here, there's the standard launcher. It's not that you can't do it. I just like this one because you can make multiple instances on the fly, and you can also install mods from different places. It's great. It's really, really cool. That's not what this video is about. But if you are using something like this and you want to record, you can do the settings. You don't have to do it world by world. You go into the settings, and then, is it in Java? I always forget where no, it's in custom commands. No, it's in environmental variables. There we go, it's in environmental variables. This one I did have to Google around a bit to find. But yeah, so once you put this variable in here, OBS_vCapture 1, let's say 1 is true, that will then also record in OBS, no problem at all. And yeah, it's as simple as that. I mean, I know that it's not as simple as being on Windows. You go game capture, pick a window, and then you're off and you start recording. But it is literally just typing this into a box, and I'm sure it'll get sleeker as time goes on. That is as it is for now. That's it. And then the last one is if you're using something called Lutris. So that's this thing here, and it's like a Windows emulator, a Windows game emulator. But when I say emulator, I don't mean like it runs poorly or it's a VM. It's ridiculous. I mean, you'll see in a bit. I'll show you how good it runs. But yeah, it runs absolutely fantastic. But when you install something through this, and again, I'm not going to go through a guide of how to do this. I'm happy to do it if someone wants me to, but you know, there's loads of them out there, and there's probably people explain it better. But anyway, when you do something through Lutris, if you open it up, in fact, let's just do it from there. You open up Lutris. I use it for World of Warcraft, and that means that I can install the Blizzard launcher and then install the game. But if we go to configure system options, make sure advanced is ticked on. There's another section here which is command prefix, and you just put in there OBS-game capture. And again, this is documented on the Git repo and the documentation, so it's not like you have to search around. So you may say, man, that looks like a faff. I wouldn't say it's a faff. Some people might say it's a faff, I don't know. But once you know that that's the three possible things I have to do to capture a game on OBS, it doesn't really matter. And actually, once you do it once and set it, and then you never have to do it again. I think even on Steam, you can do it as a system-wide setting, and it'll capture it for all games. But I'd like to do it bit by bit, especially because I have stream avatars on my stream, and they're also in Steam, so I don't want it to get confused capturing two. So I capture a window for Steam avatars and capture the game that I want to do, and I do it that way separately. So let's talk about some of the games. I don't know what's in there. I'm just going to get rid of it and hope that everything's okay. Right, so let's quickly show some of something like Roblox, something that I always get told definitely doesn't work. Absolutely does. This application sober, it will install the latest version of Roblox, and then you can go on and you can play. And let's find what's the game that I was playing with Marshall that he absolutely loves. It's called Blox Fruit, I think. It should be my favourite. I don't even play this that much, so forgive me if you are a hardcore Roblox player. Well, I'll tell you what. You know what? We've been watching One Piece recently. Let's load up this one. I don't even know if this works, so this may make it look stupid. Let's see. Launch. But it should have run completely fine. And it's doing the typical Roblox thing. Yeah, you can see it's loading up. I don't think I've got this on game capture already. I'm not sure, so there might not be any sound for it. But yeah, there you go. You can see it all runs perfectly fine. I mean, it looks great as well. So yeah. That's Roblox. You just install this app called Sober, and it does everything itself. It auto-updates the app inside itself as long as you do it in Discover. And yeah, that's Roblox. Simple as that. I mentioned World of Warcraft already, so let's load up World of Warcraft. Okay, so here we are in World of Warcraft, and as you can see, all looks great. The window mode is because I play it in window mode. It's nothing to do with Linux. So that's why you see in the bar at the top. I think when I'm normally streaming, you might see a black bar at the top and the bottom anyway. But yeah, let's get this loaded up, and let's just see. So I normally, have I not blurred it? I'm not sure. Anyway, just as a quick run, yeah, you can see everything works fine. One of the things I always complain about is how heavy, and if there's more people in here, it's just a bit of a nightmare normally. But look, I mean, it's smooth. I can spin and spin and spin and spin. No slowdown at all. The way it should be, basically. So let me just close that, because I've got another thing to show you on World of Warcraft as well. So you're not going to get any sound for this, I don't think. But this is a recording I did while I was raiding. And normally, when I'm streaming, this goes all over the place when people start doing spells, or even if I'm recording. So I did this as a test, but you can see here, like, there's all sorts going off, and it's absolutely perfect. When I was on Windows, the frame rate would drop so dramatically, it was just a nightmare. An absolute nightmare. And look, you can see I'm an arms warrior on this one. I've joined a guild and they've already got tanks, so I've had to try and do DPS, and I am no DPSer, but I'm trying. But there's an example of, it's been recorded in OBS. I know you've not got sound. I've got the sound, but I didn't want to put double layered sound in. But yeah, it's great. It runs better. And I know it's only World of Warcraft, but it runs better. And OBS recording the thing runs better. I was so surprised. Really, really surprised. All right, here's another one that it runs better. and it's WWE 2K24. Now, it's not that it's graphically better or anything like that. In fact, this one looks quite old because of the arena that it's on. But on Windows, now it might not still be the case, but I had to uninstall this game because after about 5 seconds, all of the AI just freezes. They stop fighting each other and they just stand there, and then everything just goes to rubbish. But on this, I play it again, and it's great being able to play wrestling again. You know, I can play it on the PS5 because Marshall's got it, but I have it on the PC because I used to stream this, and it was a mess. But yeah, on here it runs absolutely perfectly, and it's yeah, all the sound's great as you can hear. The video's great. No slowdown. Sometimes you would get slowed down again on the Windows one when it was working. Yeah, no problem at all. Everything is on full ultra. You can see from the crowd, everything's on full. Runs great. Runs really, really good. And it's one of my Minecraft worlds. When I used to run this on Windows, if I turned shaders on, it would absolutely murder the frame rate again. And look, it's absolutely perfect. Everything runs great. I mean, I'm flying around here and I'm loading loads of chunks in, and there's no issues at all. I have got Sodium installed, but I always do. Some of the performance mobs, but even with those on, the moment you put shaders on, it's usually like, but yeah, everything just runs super well, like really, really well. So yeah, quick little show of Minecraft there, and one of my new favorite, well, I say new, my old new favorite worlds. Something to be seen soon, maybe. All right, so I mentioned the PS5 Remote Play app earlier. So it's an app called Chiaki, and it's really, really good. I mean, my PlayStation 5 is in the other room, so on the other side of the house, and it's connected to, I think I maybe wired, I can't remember if it's wired the PS5 in there. My PC is definitely wired anyway, but it runs great. It's upscaled to 1440p on my computer, and everything works great. There's another benefit though, and it is if you use Remote Play, you'll know you have to plug in your PS5 controller and then, or your PS4 controller into your PC by a wire and all that palaver. I'm using my normal PC controller, and also I can use my own microphone. I'm hitting it, which means you're going to hear pop pop pop. I can use my own microphone, my own headphones, and I can talk and use the PS communication services as if I'm using a PS5 controller, which is wicked because I used to hate, I know it's a proper first world problem, but I used to hate having to move my controllers around. But just to give you an idea, let's put something, I mentioned Fortnite, didn't I? Let's put Fortnite on. I'm rubbish, and especially with the control pad, but yeah, I don't know if I'm going to get DMCA'd for music, maybe, I don't know. But, little update, you'll just see now, I'm on screen capture, I'm not on game capture, I haven't set this up yet for game capture. But, just so you can get a quick idea of how it runs, I had to do a mini update, so I thought I'll just skip it, and then we'll wait for a match together. But yeah, so I'm sat here in Fortnite. To be fair, as much as some people are a bit meh about Fortnite, it's actually quite an intensive game to run, so it's worth running something like this so you can see what it runs like through this app. So here we go. We're going in. I hope this music isn't going to get me in trouble. It's just the one that comes with this skin character that I bought. I don't know. I'm like a proper old man when it comes to Fortnite. But yeah, here we go. Everything's running, and you can see everything's captured fine. No weird glitchiness. Nothing. It is. It's like I'm playing on the Remote Play app. But like I say, look, I'm still on this. I'm on my PC controller. And it's amazing. It's so cool. It means it's just completely seamless for me. But yeah, I'm not going to play a game. I'm not going to embarrass myself. But yeah, so that's how, if you've got a PlayStation or another console, you can play it through any of the services that let you connect to your console and play, particularly like the PlayStation one. So yeah, that's Chiaki. All right, and then here's Satisfactory running in the game capture. So what we're talking about before, so I'm not capturing the screen, I'm capturing the game capture. This is how great it runs. So I, like I said, play Satisfactory for ages. It's generally pretty well optimized, but if you watch anybody streaming, like particularly if you watch someone like Tango Tech, it'll just all of a sudden slow down for no reason. I've not had that once. One of the big tests for me is if I do this. I know it's not something you normally do, but I found before when I was on Windows that if I did this, it would just absolutely ruin the frame rate. And yeah, I'm not having any of those kind of issues at all. I don't actually know how to show the frames per second, but you can see how clear it is and how crisp it is. I'm running at 120 frames per second. I'm running everything on Ultra. So if we just have a quick look, so you can see video, Ultra, 120, and I'm in 4K. No, I'm not in 4K. I'm not in 4K. I'm in 1440p. I don't run anything in 4K. So yeah, I'm in 1440p, and everything's beautiful. So I think the big question is, has it all been easy? So the way I put it when I was installing it was, if I was to do a fresh Windows install, I'd have it all up and running in a few hours, and it'd be exactly how I want it, absolutely perfect. It took me a few days to do that with Bazzite, with Linux probably in general, but with Bazzite, because that's what I'm using. It wasn't anything to do with Bazzite. It wasn't like I got stuck because something wouldn't work. It's more just I don't know. So if you are going to make this switch, just be prepared for the fact that if you've never used Linux before, it's a long time ago, you don't know. So it's going to take a little bit longer, but that isn't a bad thing, because for me it was a great opportunity to learn this new operating system. The community behind Bazzite in particular is amazing. I mean, I'm over on Blue Sky now for socials, and got help on there from people when I got stuck with a few things, and we were sort of bouncing ideas back off each other. It's been great. It's been really, really good. I'm trying to think, are there any other weird annoyances? The main one is just opening Firefox. Like, I love Firefox. I always use it. So I have to like click it 5 times sometimes to open it. I don't know why that is. It's just a random weird one. Other than that, it's all been fine. So, yeah, I mean, if I was you and you're considering it, maybe do what I did. So make a new partition, whack Bazzite in it, give it enough space to install your games and stuff, and then just get on with it and have a play and see what you think. I'm not saying it's going to be for everybody, but I genuinely have had no reason to go back to my Windows install. The only time I touch Windows is to update the firmware on my Steam Decks. So Stream Decks. I always say Steam Deck or Stream Deck the wrong way around, and the same for my mic. That's it. My keyboard and mouse, if I want to, but they all work great. I don't need to do it. And actually, lots of the functionality that comes through on the firmware for the Stream Decks, I don't really need it anyway. I mean, that's one thing I would say on Stream Decks and on Elgato software, hardware in general. If you haven't got one and you're on Linux, don't buy one. It makes no sense, because they have no intention of supporting the software, and there's not a real good way of using. I don't think there's any way of actually using their software on Linux yet. You know, most stuff can go through this Wine or Lutris or whatever else, and then that makes the software work. There's loads of things that do work, like you've seen with games and stuff that have no right probably running on Linux, but they run great. In fact, run better. I've not so far had any game that runs worse. I'm sure there are some, but for all the things I play, it either runs the same or better. So, yeah. Anyway, what I was saying was on the Elgato stuff, don't buy Elgato stuff if you're on Linux and you don't have them already. There's much cheaper options that will do the things that you can do with a Stream Deck on Linux, you know, because most of the time you're going to be using hotkeys or other little applications that will emulate sort of mouse movements or whatever else. There's much cheaper options, so don't waste your money on it. But if you've got them already, and it's a big worry, there are options. Like I say, the one I'm using is, I showed it before, let me bring it back up again. The one I'm using is Stream Controller. There's 3 or 4 others. This one just seemed the least complicated, and it supported my Stream Deck Plus, which is what I really liked. I'm going to show a picture now as well on the screen, and that's just to show my setup with everything plugged in, so you can see the Stream Deck showing the buttons, and you can see my screens and the RGB, everything else, just so you can see what I've said is legit. So ultimately, that's pretty much everything I've got to show. It's not like the most polished, perfect tutorial video, because that isn't what this is. This is just like I don't want to use the word normal person, but it's like a normal person just saying, look, I did this switch, and it absolutely does work. So if you're thinking of trying it, don't be worried about it. If there's anything you want to ask, I'll try and help you. I'm not an expert, but I'm pretty good at figuring things out. I work in IT as a day job, so part of my job is figuring things out. Expert Googler a lot of the time. So if there's anything that you would like any help with, do give me a shout. And I've made some friends who are obviously very good at Linux, so I'm sure I could ask. But also things that if you'd like me to try them, I'm happy to try them on my install and let you know. I could always come back to you in the comments and just say, look, yeah, that works and it performs like this, or oh no, it doesn't, and here's the reason why. I'm happy to do that if you want to do it. But hopefully this has helped you. Either you find it interesting, or it's helped you make the decision one way or another. I've talked about some of the things that I don't like, some of the things that I do like. The don't likes are so minor that it's not even made any difference. Like I said, the main thing is just clicking Firefox many times. I think that's a Firefox thing rather than an anything else thing. Another thing is, like, the thing that worries me always was which Linux distribution to go for. I still don't know which one's the best. I just know that this one works for me. I haven't tried any others, so I can't tell you it's better than another one. This is just great. So I don't even want to try another one as it is right now. The immutable distro thing where you can't easily hack into it and break stuff, I'm quite happy with that. You might not be. So again, have a look around and you'll be able to find the distro that lets you do whatever you want. This does still have a console. I didn't show it before, but you've got the terminal and there's things that you can do on here. Like I said, I only really use it sparingly. Even doing things like updates and stuff, you know, it does it through the console, but you just press system update and it goes off and does stuff. So it does take a lot of the worry away. Like I say, because there's always those images, or at least I have it in my mind, of, you know, people like Neo in the Matrix, digging away, so that they can do things on Linux. But no, it's like it's a standard desktop experience. In fact, my desktop here looks so much like my Windows desktop that possibly other Linux people are like, why have you made it look like that? But it's just what works for me. So yeah, I hope you found it interesting. I hope it helped you. Maybe even give you another point of view. If you're on an older machine and Windows is you're struggling, or even a new machine and you're struggling with Windows like I was, it's definitely worth having a look, because for me personally, it's performing so much better. And this was even after doing a fresh install of Windows, and it's so much better. It's just not using anywhere near as many background resources, I think, and that's what's making the difference, I think. But yeah, I don't think I'm going back. I can't see any real reason to go back. I think if I was a hardcore Fortnite player on PC, then it's not for you. It definitely isn't for you, because Epic don't want you to be able to play on Linux for whatever reason. I think other than that, yeah, do it. The latest games work. I mean, I've got 40k, Warhammer 40k on there, which is pretty chunky to run. Runs perfect. Runs absolutely perfect. I didn't play it on Windows, I'll be honest. I bought it, but I didn't actually play it, so I can't tell you if it performs any better or worse. But it, you know, it's a new game and it performs very, very well. I've not had any slowdown, not any like noticeable FPS drops. I'll be honest, I'm not the kind of person that turns the FPS on games and says, "Look, you can see it drop by 4" or blah 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 blah. Mine's all about how it plays. I don't care about the number. It's just, is it smooth? And everything has been smooth. I have done some, like, I put the FPS counters on some things just before I did this video because I didn't want to advise people without knowing the full facts. And it has, and you know, and it has been exactly as I've said. It's been fine. But in general, I just go, is it smooth to me? I don't care what the number says. Does it feel smooth? Yes, it does. And previously, was it smooth? No, it wasn't. So I've said I'm really, really happy. So I've waffled again, but I hope it was useful for you. Any comments? Let me know. If you've got any advice, if you're a Linux person, you've got any advice for me for more gaming advice on here, let me know. Or any apps that you think I should try, let me know. If there's something I've said in this video and you're a Linux person and you know better and you think that was complete nonsense, let me know in the comments, because I'm still learning. I'm not precious about this. I'm still learning. I'm going to be learning for a long time. And I like that. That's good. Yeah. New videos soon. Back to playing games again. Life's starting to calm down. Finally. Anyway, have a good one. See you later.